It is time for my Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League review. I just played this game over the last couple of days. I beat it and I actually had a pretty decent amount of fun. I know this thing is getting ripped apart in reviews, and to be honest, yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, but without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it. We're going to do pros and then cons. My first positive is actually Wonder Woman. She's one of the best parts of this entire game. She's one of the only Justice League members that isn't infected by Brainiac, and she has some incredible scenes in this game. And all of her scenes in this game get me super excited for the Wonder Woman game we're supposed to be getting very soon. I also really like the Batman hunting missions. There's a few missions in this game where he's like in the dark and hunting the Suicide Squad members, and he's like creeping on you in the city. Just really cool like stalker kind of missions, I guess, with Batman that I really enjoyed. My next positive is the gameplay for Suicide Squad. It's actually really fluid and really fun. It gets a little repetitive, yes, but you can always change up your guns, change up your characters to keep it a little bit fresh. And, I had fun with the overall gameplay. But I do wish that it was the Arkham style. Like, I wish it was more combat focused, like, not as much with guns. And I wish each character had their own individual fighting style and gameplay style, because everyone kind of just plays the same because you're all just using guns. Then my next positive is the designs. I thought all the characters looked really, really great in this game. Especially the Justice League. I'm a big fan of all of the costumes here. Yes, even the Flash. I know some people were hating on it, but honestly, I dig it. As if they had some white around that lightning bolt on the chest, I would love that suit, but regardless, I think Batman has one of his best ever game suits, and that includes all the Arkham games. This is in a top 2 for me. I think Arkham Knight is still number 1, but this one's probably number 2. Superman looks great, Green Lantern looks great, Wonder Woman looks fantastic. I love the designs overall. Now on to my negatives, and my first one is going to be the villain of the game. I just didn't really find him that menacing. He just was barely in the story too. Like, we don't even see him for the first bit, and he was kind of disappointing. The boss fight wasn't that entertaining. The story surrounding his character wasn't that great, and I just thought he was a pretty weak villain. Another negative I had with the game is we don't even see Brainiac's invasion. The game just starts and he's already invaded Metropolis, the Justice League is infected, and that just sucks, Like, the game just picks up after one of the most exciting things happens, which is the Justice League gets beat by Brainiac. Like, come on, how do you not even show that in like a opening cutscene or something? I would have loved to see the Justice League in a cutscene just fighting against Brainiac and his skull ship, and then losing and then getting infected and mind controlled and all that, but we didn't even see that. And this is the first time we're seeing these Justice League members in the Arkhamverse, so I would have liked to see them actually be heroes for at least like a couple minutes at the beginning of the game. Then I would say all of the deaths here were very anticlimactic besides Wonder Woman. All of these ones right here, the 4 guys, you basically just shoot them and then they just fall over and that's it. And it's like, that's it, really? Like, the most powerful heroes in the DC world, the most popular heroes too, they just roll over after a bullet? Like, come on, that's kind of boring. Superman's boss fight should have been the most destructive boss fight of all time. Like, buildings should have been falling and crazy stuff should have been happening, but you really just shoot him a bunch of times and then he just goes like, shoots some laser beams and falls on the ground, and that's it. And don't even get me started on the Batman death, because this thing was so anticlimactic. Like, this is my favorite DC hero of all time, and he's just sitting on a park bench and bop, that's it. And it's like, dude, the Arkham Batman would never die like that. And I get it, he's beat up, he's under mind control, whatever. But this is the Arkham Batman. This is the Batman we've been following in 4 games now. And for him to die in such an anticlimactic way is absolutely criminal. Even Gotham Knights did Batman's death 1,000 times better. This guy went out taking down the Talons and Talia al Ghul, League of Shadows, everything, blew up the Batcave. Like, that is a death. And the Arkhamverse Batman deserves something just as good or even better, because this is like everyone's favorite Batman. He's my favorite Batman. Like, imagine he got out of Brainiac's mind control and helped take down Superman or helped take down Brainiac's ship or something, and then died in the process, like blowing up the ship or something, or saving the League at the end of the game. Like, something like that would have been so much better, and then they make him a statue, a monument. That would have been cool, and I know everyone's assumption before the game came out was that the Justice League was going to come back at the end of the game and Brainiac was going to be defeated, and honestly, I think that would have made it a lot better. Like, imagine Batman helps out the Suicide Squad and brings back the Justice League, but in the process, dies to save the world. I don't know about you, but that sounds a lot better to me. Or maybe Batman helps out the Suicide Squad and tells them about his contingency plan for the whole league and then takes down the league. Something like that. Anything would be better. My next negative is the overall story. I just didn't really find it that interesting. Like, Brainiac's barely in it and he's the main villain. We're basically just fighting the League and just doing little missions leading up to each boss fight. And all of the boss fights were very similar, maybe besides the Batman one because he was like a giant nightmare Batman, but all the other ones were pretty similar. And the story was just so weak for me because, like I said, we just start the game and we just miss the whole Justice League versus Brainiac thing, and we're already in the fight, just beating up random Brainiac goons everywhere. And essentially, the whole game is just go to this location, shoot a bunch of bad guys, have a cutscene, done, get some new loot, then go again, find another spot, beat up some bad guys, cutscene, and it's like the same thing over and over again. And the story is super short. I think it's about 9 hours total. Like, that is super, super short. And I get it, it's a live service game. The story's going to continue. But I thought the main story, like the main campaign when you buy the game, would be at least like 15 hours. But we didn't even get that. Now, my next negative is the traversal. I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I get it. They're all different. Captain Boomerang's basically the Flash. You throw a boomerang and then you, like, use the Speed Force and run towards where you threw it. Okay, sure, whatever, that's kind of cool, but I would rather just be able to just sprint everywhere and run up walls. I think that would have been a lot better for his character. Harley Quinn, she's got like a bat drone that she grapples on and swings through the city like Spider-Man, except way, way slower. And it's really clunky, and there's like a buffer time too, so you get the grapple, then you gotta wait a little bit, grapple again, and it's slow and awkward. I didn't really like it. Then King Shark traversal, you can jump really high or try to jump really far, and that's pretty much it, and like climb up buildings, but, like that one was okay. The best one, though, has to be Deadshot. He's got a jetpack, and you can fly around, move around really quickly, and, I enjoyed it, and being able to hover in the air and shoot people, that was kind of fun. And Deadshot was my main. This is the guy I used for pretty much the entire game because I just think the game was made for a character like that. Like, it's a gun game, so if you get a weapons specialist, I think it just makes sense, and it was a lot more fun than, say, like King Shark, Harley, or Captain Boomerang because his character actually uses guns. That's his thing. I literally used him so much that I think his final level for me was like a 26 or something, and everyone else was like a level 2 or a 3. That's how little I used them because I just didn't enjoy the gameplay, but with him, it was actually pretty fun. Another negative I have with the game is the city is so lifeless. Like, yes, I get it, an alien invasion, they essentially obliterated all life in Metropolis, but like, it would have been cool if there was like civilians hiding in buildings and stuff, and then the Brainiac alien people are like following them and trying to kill them or take them and convert them into new Brainiac troops. That would have been cool, but if you eliminate pretty much every single person out of the entire city, and it's just you, the Suicide Squad, and then Brainiac's goons, it just feels really empty. Like, can you imagine playing the Spider-Man games and there's just nobody in New York? You know how weird that feels if you're just swinging around through the city and there's just nobody there? And like I said, I get it, an alien invasion and most of the people are killed, so it makes sense narratively, but I just don't think it was a good decision. The gameplay itself is so repetitive too, like it definitely gets boring after a few hours, but if you change up your characters, yeah, it can make it a little bit more fun, but it's just really repetitive. Just go to a spot, shoot people, get some loot, whatever, and I get it's a looter shooter, but I'm not a big fan of those style of games. And once you finish the campaign, there's not really much to do. I think it would have been cool if there was side missions like in the Arkham games, like maybe there's heroes or villains hidden away in Metropolis and you gotta fight them or something. That would have been pretty cool. But overall, I had some fun with this game. It's not perfect by any means. It's not terrible. I would say it's like a 4 out of 10. It's just slightly below average, and I think the game could improve over time. But the game was just kind of frustrating. The story wasn't that great and it was just really repetitive. And I hope things update and change and become a little bit more fun. But for me, this just feels like a really, really good Nintendo Switch or mobile game, which, some people might be upset about that comment, but that's truly how I feel. I do recommend to try it out though.